friends all know that I'm cool. I've been this way since high school. Cause life's never been sweeter when you're just a cake eater. When it comes to hockey, nobody can stop me. My high school team, I was playing on the top 3.
Welcome to the Youth Hockey Up High School Hockey podcast, brought to you by Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine. I am Danny Ryan. Joined with me in studio is Tony Scott.
How you doing, Danny?
Good. And Carl, back from traveling. That's why we couldn't record yesterday.
That was the answer to the trivia question today.
I was wearing flip-flops to the show.
I couldn't come up with anything for you. I just said, hey, Danny with flip-flops.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say breaking private school stereotypes.
That's right. So how are you doing up there, Carl?
Doing well. How are you, Tony?
Good. Yeah, so I had a post on Twitter, a poll, and I think one of them was why we aren't it was just basically a little promo for tonight and to gain awareness. We were all, obviously, you and I were at the Holiday Classic, and I was blown away by how many people had heard our show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was blown away by people who hadn't heard our show. Like, oh, there's a show? What are you talking about? We're like in this crevasse right now. We're like, they're either raging fans who love it, and then there's people who should be listening.
Yeah.
Actually, a guy says, "Well, I watch your show every week," which is my Tony Scott show. It's a great show, but it's like very high level, squirts, peewees, bantams, girls, the whole deal.
Done.
But it's very high level.
Yeah.
You can't really learn a lot. We're here. You come and we really dig in and get deep, and that's what I love about this show.
And it's cool meeting people who are listening to our shows and stuff like that. It's like, well, what can we do?
You should really talk about this. You should really talk about that. It's always the negative. They want us to talk about the negative. We touch on it a little bit, but I think we kind of keep our eyes on the
or give more love to other places.
Yeah, we give more love to others, and we don't like others, but it's not intentional. That's for sure.
Well, some schools are.
Sure.
Okay.
Lots to get to. Let's roll.
Yeah, let's get right into the meat of it. First thing I want to start with, Tony, you and I were at the Turkey Trot. I think we watched the best player in the state.
Yep.
Okay, Casey Middles.
And he arguably did not have.
I called it
best.
the Turkey Trot.
You did. I knew you were going to do it. I get to punch you after the show. So
okay,
that's good.
Holiday Classic.
He's been calling it the Turkey Trot all the way through. I said, if you say Turkey Trot on the show, I get to punch you.
So anyways.
It's going to be hard, too.
Holiday Classic, Casey Middlestad was the best player.
Yep.
But what we want to think about is who's the next best player in the state after Casey?
That's a great question.
I'll go first.
Okay.
After watching Rapids on Saturday, it's Blake McLaughlin. The best way to describe Blake, his style of play, is he crashes the net on everything. He's like a tsunami. When a tsunami hits land, the water just keeps going, and it will go past you, and it doesn't care where you are, who you are. It will just do whatever it wants to just go inland.
He plays with a reckless abandon.
Yeah, it's the best way to describe him.
And he's super skilled. He's not just one-trick pony. He's got great hands, great vision, scores when you need scoring, passes when you need passing.
Yeah.
He's the full package.
He plays suitor minutes.
Yeah,
too.
they all do. All three of those kids do. And it's if it's going to work, it's going to work. You know? And I believe we'll get to Classic later, but I think I called it. I said, I don't think Rapids could run through that gauntlet 3 nights in a row. It's just too hard. They tried. They did. They definitely did. I think they ran out of gas too. So,
Carl, what about you?
So I'm going to be super creative and take another player on the same line that that Danny just mentioned. I'm going to go with Gavin Hayne from Rapids. I think, as you mentioned, McLaughlin can be a little bit flashier because he's always crashing into people and running all over the place, but I think Hayne is quietly a slightly better player just because he's so composed and with playing within himself in a way that McLaughlin isn't always.
That's true.
So, again, really skilled in every way. So that's why I'd take Hayne over McLaughlin, but they're both awesome players, of course.
So would I be okay if I took Micah Miller and then we could just kind of call the show off right now?
And we're done.
And we're done. We're talking about Rapids. No, I won't take Micah Miller, although he had the big goal against Edina that won.
Yeah, that was a huge goal.
He's been incredible.
Yeah, his speed is second to none.
He's a thoroughbred. I mean, there's you can't stop him.
Yeah,
on that goal, he beat my guy. He beat Brinkman. So I'm going to say Ben Brinkman was my next best guy after Casey. But Micah is one who not really walked him, and Ben got out of position.
Yeah,
in that
but
play,
still, Micah can walk most everybody in the
and
state.
for a sophomore, though, I mean, Ben Brinkman was remarkable. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the guy the scouts were coming to talk to me about the most. You know, what do you know about this guy? What do you know? Do you know anything about him? That kind of thing. The NHL guys are looking at him now, and he's still a year or so away. So
Yeah, and he played exceptional in this tournament.
yeah, so
Yeah, we saw a little bit of Brinkman last year, and there were some flashes, but you didn't quite see it all because he was coming back from that injury. But in this tournament, you really saw Ben Brinkman as the prospect that he is.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the second game against Elk River, he was just amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, that was where it was just like,
Took control.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's sophomore. You know?
exactly.
It's impressive. Very impressive.
That's a good young decor that they have.
yeah.
Okay, let's not talk about that because we got other games to talk about and then jumping into the Holiday Classic.
That's right.
And so let's go through a list of them that I kind of took note of this week. First off, Duluth East goes down to Lakeville North, loses 3-2.
Toss-up game, though, right?
Toss-up game with 15 seconds left. I walked away from this game thinking that Duluth East is a top 10 team because they were doing Duluth East things very well. They were breaking up passes.
December.
In December, they're playing their system so well. It's cycle, trap, cycle, trap, and they're playing it well. The only question is
Sounds like a polka.
cycle, trap. But I think the only question marks, and I think, Carl, you would agree with this, is they're kind of like Wayzata. Where's their scoring going to come from other than, their top line is good, but I just don't see scoring depth.
Their top line will look a lot like.
Some surprising scoring depth this year. I mean, all four lines are scoring. In the Cloquet game on Thursday, all four lines scored a goal, and they scored 5 goals. But the thing is, really, the top players haven't been producing the big points that you'd kind of hope for out of them.
Yeah.
Those players like Worth and Ian Mayhew, who are in the mid-30s in points as sophomores last year, should be putting up some pretty big points this year as juniors, but it hasn't quite happened yet.
Sorry about that, Carl. I was going to say, I think the Mayhew Worth rider line or whatever it's going to be next, that's going to be one of those top lines that we're going to talk. We're going to open the shows up with next year. We're going to talk about those 3 next year.
Yeah, when East has a power top line like they had with Randolph and Olsen and Toninato, I mean, that's a difference maker with the style of play that they have.
Correct.
They need a game-changing forward to step up in this group, and then they're going to be unbelievably good. And they're already playing very well. They're playing sound defensive hockey, good goaltending by Hansen in this game, other than the goal that he gave up at the end of the game. And Muirhoff is not that bad either. He's a senior, so
He looked the best I've seen him on Thursday when he shut out Cloquet.
yeah, that's good. I think for me this team is floating around 9 to 10 in my book right
I
now.
think that's where Carl had him at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam is down.
Okay, speeding through Greenway Hibbing. This was a 5-1. Carl, you went up to the Iron Range wearing your pea coat in this one. What'd you take away from Hibbing and Greenway? Quick.
First off, I was surprised by Hibbing. They look quite good. I think they're a somewhat deeper team than Greenway. They just played within themselves, played very steadily. Greenway came out hitting hard. They're a big physical team. Greenway tried breaking up their top line. It had probably a lance on different lines. I don't think that was very successful. They didn't really have the scoring punch they needed, whereas Hibbing kept their big two, Jarrett Lee and Zach DeBoom, together. And they accounted for most of the Hibbing goals, especially on the power play where Hibbing was strong. So good showing for Hibbing. I think some of us wrote Hibbing off a little bit after they lost Scott Prudovich and Ryan Nealon over the offseason, but they're not a bad team.
No, not at all.
Top in Class A.
What their score, that was one of the, not the most surprising score, but I would put that in a surprising category for sure. And we had them, I put them in the top 10 in Class A this week.
Yeah, I think with that score you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next game that I want to talk about, Minnetonka versus Maple Grove. Maple Grove 2, Tonka 1. Are you concerned about Tonka right now, Tony, or is this normal?
A little bit. I mean, they really, even against Jefferson, the game that I saw them play, they just never, they don't really have that one guy, the scoring
the wow
punch.
factor.
There's not a wow. They're real deep. I would have suspected they should have beaten Maple Grove. They didn't. Maple Grove, had they beaten Blaine, I think, Carl, you'd have thought they would have been in the top 10 this week. So
I came out straight and said that. They would have been top 15 if they won that game. But
yeah, I would go so far they would have been in the top 10 because they would have had good wins, and they would have. I think they would have earned their way in, and they just, again, they're one game away
Yeah.
from being good.
And they lost to Blaine 5-2 on Saturday, and that's a huge section game.
Yeah, we'll get to,
I
that.
mean-
We'll get to that later in the
Yeah.
segment because mine's going to be wrong because we're going off of last week's.
Anyways, but okay, talk about a couple other surprises. Hill Murray and Tartan. Tartan standing up on a tie, 3-3 in this game against Hill Murray, who has been hot.
Yeah, well, it's always a good week on our show when you can talk about Tartan and
Titans.
Eastview. We're going to talk about Tartan and Eastview this week.
Yes.
That's awesome. I mean, no offense, but we talk so much Benilde and EP and Hill
Well, maybe
Murray
not
and-
Benilde as much
Yeah,
this
but
year.
you know what I'm saying? We talk about all these teams.
Yes.
You know, it's fun to talk about Tartan.
Yeah.
You know, hats off to the Titans. You know, they had a great week.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's a big game, you know, for the Tartans, and this is another big game for section seating for AA.
Yeah. So, you okay, Danny?
Yeah, I'm okay.
The vacuum guy came into the studio here just a second ago, and it threw Danny off a little bit. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on to
Next game.
Eastview Lakeville South. This is an Eastview team that is the Lightning are riding hot. We hyped them up last week. This is now and they strike again.
Yeah.
1-0 against Lakeville South. They beat them.
Yeah.
They are playing very, very good hockey. 2 losses, 1 to Hill Murray, 1 to Lakeville, or 1 to St. Thomas Academy.
1 Hill Murray.
1 Hill Murray. So I think this is, you know, an Eastview team you got to take notice of right now.
Oh, shout out Ben Beatty had the shutout.
Good shout out.
And I think the Fan brothers connected for the only goal in that game, Chris and Jesse Fan. So this is a group that will slowly but surely continue to get better, and they won't surprise people. And if you know, Carl, if you and I actually cared about conference standings, and we don't, if you looked at conference standings, Eastview's got to be leading that conference. I mean, they've beaten everybody they've played so far in conference. So
Yeah.
so.
And then sticking with 3AA, Burnsville ties Lakeville North 2-2. For me, this is kind of concerning now for Lakeville North.
They beat Duluth East.
Yeah, but now that's a tie that shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah, but I think
Who
that
did they lose to the previous week?
who
Who did they lose to, Carl? Do you remember?
Lakeville North,
Yeah. Who's their loss?
Eastview.
East. Oh, yeah.
Eastview.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think, to be honest with you, I think the way that Trent Eigner looks at his team is like we're just building for the section playoffs, and a conference win and a conference loss isn't that big a deal. As long as they're getting better as the season progresses, I think he's comfortable with that.
I look at them. Depth is going to be an issue with them probably throughout the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody. I mean, we'll get to
Yeah.
that when we talk about Eden Prairie. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a big question mark is depth.
Okay, one more 3AA. Rosemont beats Prior Lake 5-2. This was probably my biggest upset takeaway.
Yeah,
that
are we
I
going to
had.
talk about surprises? Because this one doesn't fall in the surprise
Okay,
category. I don't know
yeah,
what
that's the
does,
last
so.
one I.
Okay, because I think that's a
one
surprise. I
second
mean,
to
we got
last.
a couple juicy surprises coming up here in the segment, but yeah, that's a big surprise. I mean, I kept looking at my phone. And
Yeah,
I kept
that
looking
one
at
I
my
kept
phone, I'm like,
watching.
I can't believe this is happening. You know, Prior Lake was just right on the doorstep of top 10 or right at top 10 with the win over Rosemont. No offense to Rosemont, this is a very winnable game for Prior Lake, or should have been.
Yeah. Carl, how hard was it to do top 10 this week?
It was not easy. And
Well-
of course, you know, the week I'm traveling and, you know, gone all day Sunday is the week that, you know, everything blows up.
Yeah, trust me. I was thinking you weren't going to post, so I was going to have to do my own this week and go solo. I got to 7, and I was like, okay, now what? Who am I going to put at 8, 9, and 10? I kept checking the forum. Where's Carl's rankings? Finally, they were posted this morning. Thank goodness. I didn't know what to put at 8, 9, and 10. There was no right or wrong answer.
Well, you
at
can't
that
put
point.
STMA there anymore because of their loss to Buffalo 3-0.
No. So are we into the
Yeah,
surprises?
we're in the STMA.
All right,
Surprise.
that's the number one, I think. The
Okay.
number one out of any of them. That's the one I looked at the phone and was like, there's no way Buffalo
I
just
don't.
beat them.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Good win for Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, you know, their goaltender, Nathan Miller, pronounced Mueller, by the way. His last name is Miller. Nathan Miller, 29 shots or saves shutout. He was remarkable against Moorhead a couple weeks back, 50-some saves in that game. Buffalo's got a decent senior class.
Yeah.
And with a great goaltender, the sophomore Miller kid, they can surprise people. Again,
That's the
another one of those
section
teams
in
that
AAA.
section. Yeah, I mean, there are some of them are just a horse apiece, and obviously the Brainerd Moorhead win. Brainerd beating Moorhead just completely solidifies that. No one knows who's going to win.
Yeah, Brainerd beat Moorhead. What's the other game that you wanted to list as a surprise?
other surprise?
Yeah, which one?
I don't know. I think there were so many of them. Tartan. Beat Matamidi. I think that's a big surprise too.
Yeah,
that's a big surprise. That was like what? Because I mean, Matamidi just trounced Hastings a couple weeks ago. So I figured they were in the upper echelon of Class A, and they would handle a team like Tartan, and they did not. So Tartan's got something there. We got to keep an eye on the Titans.
Okay, the only other game that I wanted to note before the Holiday Classic is 5-3 Holy Family over Wayzata.
It's worth noting, yeah.
Yeah, just because the wheels are almost off the bus in Wayzata. They're 1-5, Tony.
Yeah,
they're 1-5.
I'm not. I still think they're easily the second best team in that section.
Yeah,
and all I need to do is beat Edina.
True,
and they did it last year, and they can do it again.
Do I want a sub-500 Wayzata team in the tournament, though?
No, but I still think that team they get to read Edina's putts for 2 games in the late conference this year. Fine. They'll figure out a way to beat them.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just thinking. I'm speaking as if I were a Wayzata loyalist. I'm not either, but I'm saying right now, today, easily Edina is the best team in that section.
Yeah,
but we've seen this before.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. But don't worry. I think Pat O'Leary we trust.
Okay, that being said, let's jump into the meat of it, the Holiday Classic. I went for 3 days, and I would go for 5, sort of thing.
It was good. It was definitely good.
What team do you want to start with, Carl?
We got to start. Don't we?
Start with Rapids.
Okay.
Well, okay. My takeaway on Rapids. That top line is the best line since the Paling line, bar none.
Yep.
Sure.
The creativity on that line is just amazing.
It's the perfect combination. If you were Frankenstein, that's the line you want. You want somebody who's creative, somebody who's fast, and somebody who's hardworking. Well, that's Gavin Hain. Speed is Micah Miller, and you got creative and McLaughlin. It's fun to watch. There's no
doubt. And they don't care about the egos that each other has because they all kind of have egos in some way too.
They don't need it.
They don't care.
It doesn't matter. They don't care who scores. They don't care who's got the points. It's just you can tell they're into winning, and that's all that matters.
And the way they crashed the net on every shot, the way they just fed each other, either passing to open space. They were like Russians, just passing to open space and catching it. It's very cool. It's like playing pond hockey with people that you know really well and just going, there's the puck. You'll
know where it'll be.
Yeah. What was your takeaway, Carl?
Yeah, well, I think the top line gets a lot of credit, as it should, but there are a lot of other things to talk about with Rapids this weekend. I think maybe the biggest difference maker for them in the first 2 games was the goaltending, which was phenomenal.
Gabe Holm, Zach Stay School played exceptionally well.
Because I wasn't there, who played the last game?
Stay School.
He did play. Okay.
Yeah.
And did Elk River go over 30 shots?
No,
they didn't.
I think it was like 26 to 24, somewhere in that range.
All right.
Yeah, and also the Rapids defense, it's better. It's maybe still not an elite defense, but they hang in there. They don't do as many stupid things as they have in the past years. It's good enough that they can win some big games.
I love the dig. There's just like a slight little dig there from a Duluth East fan. I love that kind of stuff.
Who, me? No.
Yeah. So I'm gonna wrap up, Danny, on my take on Grand Rapids. I was ready to crown them. I think the whole state was ready to crown them state champions, #1 in the state, and they just didn't finish. And I believe in one of our last 2 episodes, I said there's no way that they can win 3 in a row in this gauntlet, playing that line 75% of the time.
Well, I agree with that, but I look at their second line, Jack Brunson. Not Jack Brunson. Yeah,
Brunson.
He's Brunson.
He's back. Yep.
Steffen and Bowman. No, Graber. It's Graber, Steffen, Brunson, and that's the second line, and that's a good second line.
Yeah, it fills the need of a coaching staff.
Yeah,
get out there, and they had a couple couple points, couple goals.
Yeah, Giuseppe saw action.
Yeah.
I'm looking at their roster sheet, and they have decent players. Like their D is 3 good deep.
3 solid D.
Yeah, and so my takeaway is they're a lot better than I think I at least thought going into that.
Okay. All right. Next team. Which one are we going?
Yeah, Carl, what's the next team?
Elk River.
Elk River. Okay. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I mean, they have all the ingredients. I think the word around the rink is they were the deepest team in that field.
By far.
Certainly.
I thought they were the deepest team. I thought that they could get scoring from any of their 3 lines.
Yep.
They have great defense.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Carl? They have great defense, and I think Ben Myers showed that he's a good goaltender, a really good goaltender, especially against Eden Prairie. I thought that he won that game for him in the 3rd period.
And they're just as good of a skating team as Edina. I thought they skated with them in the first period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now the puck luck didn't go their way in that Edina game.
Correct.
But they skated with Eden Prairie and they crushed Eden Prairie.
In the first 2 periods, yeah.
In the first 3, 2.5.
Yeah.
And they controlled the pace of play. When Elk is on, they're controlling the pace of play, and they're doing a very good job at that, and they're shutting you down.
And I thought there were times in the Edina game, Elk River was completely controlling the play. I believe, and I'm not a big shots on goal guy, but I believe they outshot them, and I believe they controlled the play for a lot of that game, even though they didn't win.
Yeah.
I thought they showed signs that they were better than Edina, but they're not.
Puck luck was going Edina's way in that one, and Edina played a good game in that one, too.
I agree.
What were your Carl?
Elk River, I think they're the most complete team in the state, top to bottom. My one concern, though, and I think we saw this in the playoffs last year, we saw it at that game this year, when the wheels fall off, they really fall off, and so that's going to be a question going forward. What happens when they run up into a tough situation? Do things just all fall apart right away, really quickly, and suddenly they're buried and can't do anything?
Mental toughness. I like that. That's a definite question mark.
But they're in control of their own destiny. And like you said, Carl, I think they're the number 1 team in 7AA.
They need one more win.
And they need one more win to really have a stranglehold on
the number 1 seed, which is huge because
it's huge in that section.
Big difference between Cloquet and Duluth East or Rapids.
Huge difference. I like their play, but yeah.
All right, who's next? Eden Prairie or Edina? Which one?
Edina.
All right.
Edina.
I thought they were the fastest team
in
the Classic. I was impressed with their toughness. I was impressed with the way they scored a lot of goals.
Yeah.
The question mark a little bit, even though they did have a shutout, I a little bit questioned their goaltending.
Yeah, which is always a question.
It's a confidence thing. Whether they have confidence in the players have confidence in their goaltending. That's something that I don't believe yet on Edina.
Yeah.
The defense is unbelievable, and they'll get some scoring out of those, 2 or 3 lines, I would guess.
Now, Carl, I said this to Tony when we were at the games. When was the last time Edina's best player was a defenseman?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't think it's happened in the Giles era. That's my takeaway on that.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably true.
At least not in this current run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the Connor Hurleys and the Dylan Malmquists and
everybody.
The string, Kiefer Bellows. I mean, Kiefer Bellows really never even peaked at Edina.
No.
It's unfortunate, from a high school hockey fan like the 3 of us.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe Zulsdorf was a good player, but he wasn't the best player on the team.
He was a sophomore.
Yeah.
So he didn't. He like Bellows didn't really peak at Edina High School.
Exactly.
Exactly. So we didn't see the
great,
best
but
of him.
He was probably that team was so loaded though that
You barely even noticed him. Like who?
Yeah, that team didn't need Zulsdorf.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
But I think that's a huge takeaway with Edina is this is an Edina that's not going to be forward heavy. They're going to have to rely on the Brinkmans, the Boltmans of the world, the Luke Johnsons, to really, this is their team. That's their identity, which hasn't been their identity before. They're always going to be a good, smooth skating team. Edina teams from Squirts, you know this, Tony, are great skating teams.
Yeah.
They go to Ness, okay?
Yes.
They pay for Ness. They go to Ness. But, the question is, how good are they at scoring? And, I just their top line is good. Okay, the Copeland, the Walker, not Copeland.
Copeland. Oh, I wish we had
Shear.
Copeland there.
Shear Walker is good. Okay, Jungles is small.
He had a good tournament though.
Yeah,
really good tournament.
But you look at their forwards are undersized.
Yeah, but fast.
But fast, but real fast.
A lot faster than Wayzata's forwards. Let me just say that. I think there's a chasm between Edina and Wayzata right now.
I think so too.
All right, last team, Eden Prairie. Let's hear it, Carl. What do you think?
I don't know. I kind of laid into them in my rankings this week, and obviously there's a ton of talent there. And yes, they were missing Nick Lieberman. Okay, that's definitely a big asterisk on this tournament. But at the same time, they just seem so star dependent. They're so reliant on their Casey or Lieberman doing big things, and I just didn't see a whole lot of chemistry. And I'm pretty skeptical of this team right now.
I think we agree with that.
Yeah, no one's going to disagree with that. I'm going to give you my take. Again, I wasn't there Saturday when they won. My take was it's 4 guys standing around waiting for Casey to do everything. And for them to be successful, and I'll go on record saying this, for them to be successful, they need a third line. And now, if we're talking some, as you would say, Carl, middling team, there's no such thing as a third line. But I've seen Eden Prairie's JV this year, and before that Jefferson game, there's 3 or 4 kids on that team who could play second line for just about any varsity in the state, including Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
These kids, I'm telling you, there's JV guys on Eden Prairie that would be second line with ease on Grand Rapids. If that's the case, how come we can't, if you're a Eden Prairie fan, we can't get a second line out of Eden Prairie? Or a third line. I mean, this Piakowski kid scored the other night.
Yeah.
He didn't even play against Jefferson.
No.
He didn't play.
No.
Right?
No.
This kid's amazing. As a Bantam last year, he and Jack Jensen were unstoppable. He should be playing varsity. He should be playing third line for that team.
Yeah, who would you put on their third line? Who's your third line with
Ryan
them?
Lesko.
He was
put it
top
this way.
line. Yeah.
Ryan Lesko needs to play more, and he needs to play great. Ryan Lesko was playing for Omaha U16 this year, the number 1 team in U16 Tier 1 hockey. And he left there to come play where? And to sit there and watch these other 2 lines play? That kid needs to be on the ice too. He's amazing. So they have plenty of talent. So usually some of these teams, there's not a talent level for that third line. Eden Prairie is loaded.
Here's a good question. I'm going to go through a couple players. You tell me first, second, third line if you're the coach at EP.
Oh, here we go. So I'm Lee Smith?
You're Lee Smith.
I'm not as attractive as Lee Smith, but I'm maybe as
Your
smart.
voice isn't as ruffled, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
Blakowiak.
Third line.
Sullivan.
First line.
With Casey. Caveat is with Casey.
It's got to be. Let's go. If Grand Rapids is doing it, we're EP. Let's do it.
Jack Jensen.
First line.
Nick Benson.
Third line.
Hunter Joannis.
Second line.
That's kind of
Ryan Lesko. Second line.
Yeah, Lesko.
Second line.
Second line. Shavlik. Third line.
Third line.
Third line. And that's kind of it.
I put Piakowski on the second line. The kid's got wheels. He's got serious wheels, and he's got game. And the more he's gonna play for that team, the better he'll do.
I think for me, if I'm making a top line for Eden Prairie, I'd do Casey, Sullivan,
and anybody else.
And I would say Jensen because you want to load it up.
Sure,
just load it up.
I'll take that. And I think Hunter can carry a second line with any combo. He's got such power, and he can dominate a game.
Joannis gets in front of the net with Blakowiak and Benson or Lesko. I mean,
they're loaded. Lee is loaded, and Lee doesn't know it. So that's where.
But the problem is defense.
Well, they got good defense. I mean, when Nicky Lieberman comes back, there's not a better defenseman in the state. So
yeah, but until then, they're playing 5 forwards on the power play.
Yeah, there's you and your 5 forwards. I don't care what position they start at, as long as the puck's going in the net and you're controlling the play. That doesn't really bother me as much as how they defend the play. And defense really hasn't been their issue. I mean, I didn't think that they're even without they weren't scoring goals in at least their first 2 games. They really struggled.
Yeah,
one goal against Rapids, right, and 2 late goals against Elk River.
I thought Winchek
3 goals in 2 games. You got a first-round draft pick on your team.
come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, it's
Well,
not the
hey,
defenseman's fault.
Hey, I'm just stating stuff.
I know.
over
I don't
here.
know. I'm fine. We're good.
Diedrich and Wincheck both played well in this tournament. Well
Yeah.
enough to win.
Well enough to win.
Yeah.
That's for sure. It's not their goaltending.
Yeah.
And would Nicky Lieberman added 2 more goals in those 2 games? Likely. So,
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
So now they're 3-3 with Elk River and they're 2-2
Fine.
with Rapids. I think the sky is not falling in Eden Prairie.
It is.
No, it's not.
Okay. Tony,
Yeah.
section time.
Oh, section time. Pull up the computer. Woo! I love this. This is going to make me look really silly now. So just so you know, I posted last week my section seating for AA NA. We're only going to touch on AA today. But I'm going to rapid fire through my sections. Make fun of me if you want it, because this was posted last Wednesday or Thursday on my site. So I
They are wrong.
Yeah, they're way off now. Like, oh yeah, I look like a complete moron. All right, here we go. 1 AA. 1 AA is Lakeville South, Lakeville North, Farmington, Rochester, John Marshall.
Okay, you look smart still.
Does that look okay?
Carl?
The 2 Lakeville are a toss-up at this point, but
Yeah.
really, those 2, who really cares? But
Yeah, I think Lakeville South had not lost to Eastview, so I had them a little bit higher than Lakeville North. And Lakeville North had lost to Eastview.
Eastview's got to move sections.
Oh, yeah, I know. They should. They should be down there anyway. They're probably farther south than Lakeville North. All right.
Next one.
Next one, Section 2 AA.
Let's get juicy.
Okay. It's not really that juicy. It's wrong, but it's not juicy. So Eden Prairie Holy Family, and then I had Minnetonka Prior Lake. Minnetonka's not done much, and Prior Lake hasn't done much. So I still think we're okay there.
I
I
would.
mean, Chaska's not coming. What's that, Carl?
they also play this week, so we'll get an answer there pretty quickly.
yes.
That's correct. That's correct.
I would switch Prior Lake and Minnetonka.
Above them,
Yeah.
again, as Carl would say, it's a flip of the coin.
Okay, let's go 3.
All right, Section 3 AA. St. Thomas Academy, Eastview, those are locks, right?
Yes.
Then I had Jefferson and Burnsville. I'm not sure I'm sold on either of those 2 teams. I think Eastridge might sneak in there.
East Ridge is in that section.
Yes,
now?
they are.
Oh,
Eastridge is in that section. I think they might sneak above both of these teams, Jefferson and Burnsville, because they all kind of play each other this year.
I would keep Burnsville on there. Maybe even move them to 3 with the North tie.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
Jefferson hasn't done anything yet.
To prove
no
anything.
quality anything. But we'll see. We'll see. There's still a ways to go on those 3 teams.
And that's like very competitive, 3 through 7 or so. You can flip them all around, and
Yep.
in almost any order, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Well, 1, big breath. 2, and then 3 through 7.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure
Big
Eastview
breath
gets.
is
I don't think Eastview gets too much credit yet because of their 2 losses, but they definitely get some easily number 2 for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Section 4 AA. I had Stillwater, Hill Murray, White Bear Lake, Woodbury. Again, searching. I was like,
Tartan.
look, yeah, I was like searching for
Tartan.
Bobby Fischer. I had nothing. Literally, I was going through all these different teams, and Tartan just walked right onto the scene with their good week last week. So,
I think Tartan might be the second to third
No.
best team in that section right now.
they're still 4th. Come on. Hill Murray, White Bear.
Would they beat White Bear?
I think they will play eventually. So
I think if they do play, I think they win. And with the tie to Hill, they're sneaky.
okay, I can't argue with you. They beat Mahamida, who I love.
Say that again, Carl.
What?
Did you say something? Sorry, we cut you off.
Yeah, I was just saying, we're assuming a lot of things about Tartan without having seen them at all, so I have no idea what to expect there.
Yeah, all we can do is comment on the scoreboard. So
Yeah, the box score says one thing. Even though Hill outshot them, you still tied Hill Murray, which in that conference is a big tie.
correct. Okay, Section 5, AA. I had Maple Grove, Centennial, Blaine, Anoka. I don't have a 4th team. I just threw Anoka in there. Sorry, Tornadoes. I don't see anything there yet.
No.
So I will go. I would think that Centennial is now number 1,
Yeah.
and they really haven't done much to earn that either, have
They
they?
got to play well tomorrow night against Duluth, East.
Yep.
But-
Again, nothing really in this group stands out yet.
Maple Grove stood out, but now they're the third best team if we look at it like this.
Correct. They are number 3 behind Centennial and Blaine. So
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Section 6AA. It's another kind of snoozer, actually. I had Edina, Wayzata, Cretin, Benilde. I think that still holds true.
Yeah, I don't think Benilde has proven that they're a number 3 team in that section yet.
Not yet.
And Cretin beat White Bear this week, so you could, and with at least at this point in the season, you could make an argument that they should be 2. But and there's some decent young talent there. But
Yeah.
Did you just say Cretin? An argument better than Wayzata.
That's weird, Carl.
It's weird, but you know what? You could make a case. They're winning hockey games. You can't say that about Wayzata.
No.
Yeah. So I might buy a little of that Cretin.
Wayzata's only win is Hermantown.
Yes. Yes.
What a weird win.
Yeah, they play a tough schedule though. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, of the teams to beat, like,
I mean, like Cretin's wins are against Woodbury. You know, this isn't exactly
Royals.
world beater schedule here. So.
Yeah.
All right, this is the fun one. I'm afraid to even
I don't
pull back
want-
the onion and see what I had last
the
week.
next two are.
I had Grand Rapids, Elk River, Duluth East. That obviously has to change. It's going to be Elk River, Grand Rapids, Duluth East at this point.
Yeah.
And then followed by Cloquet.
Yep, and I got Cloquet at number 4.
or Marshall.
I think that's a flip of a coin, but the meat of this is I just don't want to play Duluth East in sections. After watching them play last week, that is such a good defensively puck-breaking up team that I don't want to play them at all.
All right, last section, 8AA. Again, now we have some new blood with Buffalo on the scene. So it's fun. I have Moorhead, Bemidji, STMA, St. Cloud. Do you notice who's not in here?
Buffalo.
Brainerd.
Brainerd is,
Brainerd's not in there.
or Rozo.
Or Roseau. Yeah, thank you. So this is a great
Or
section.
St. Cloud.
I have St. Cloud at number 4.
St. Cloud's your number 4.
I got them at number 4. So
You can throw St. Cloud out. What about River Lakes? Northern, whatever that is.
Northern Lakes is
Up
in
there.
8A.
Okay.
And River Lakes is in 6A, I believe. So neither are actually in the AA realm anymore. So.
And lost
Good
that one.
try. Good try. When you do section C, you got to look at all the teams and find the list. So some of these are tricky. That's why we're not exactly skirting the single A in this situation, but there is so little proven data on a lot of these teams yet to. I did publish it, but anybody who goes on and reads it and disagrees, I probably agree with your disagreement. I just had to put a team in there.
You saw them play. Point taking you.
I had to fill in the blanks here. So we're all done there. We're heading into our pick'em section. We have 4 games.
Yeah.
Last week, give me a second here. Well, you can start into the sections. I have our winner from last week. It'll take me just a second here to pull it up. So go ahead.
So
I'll start with the game. Danny,
I'll
the
start with
games.
the game. The one game that we're not going to do in the pick'em is the one that I'm going to tomorrow night. Duluth East versus Centennial at Centennial. How's Olympic-sized ice going to fare for the Hounds, do you think, Carl?
I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I mean, they have their system. They know what to do. I've never seen the ice sheet size have a
I
big,
know we're not.
big impact.
I know we're not predicting anything, but I'm going to predict a 1-0 game. That's
this-
gonna be 1 goal maybe in that game.
I'm going to be up there in Circle Pines kind of freezing in the rink going, well, at least I don't have to tweet that many scores.
No, you won't.
But I think we all think the Hounds are going to come out in this one. The Hounds are playing very well right now in my book. I think they're playing top 10 hockey, and they travel. So the travel's not an issue for them. I think the only thing is Centennial gives them fits, right, Carl?
East hasn't beaten Centennial in a while now. I don't think they've beaten them since 2012. So for whatever reason, they've just struggled with Centennial.
Which is worth noting because, East has a weird thing with monkeys on their back like they had with, wasn't it Apple Valley was giving them a hard time a couple of years ago?
Last
Yeah, they've
year.
had a couple of games with Apple Valley.
Yeah, it's just like,
But yeah.
yeah, it's like Apple Valley, sort of thing. Okay, Tony, who won our pick'ems last week?
All right, we have a guy named Alex Lavin. He won the pick'em. He had Alexandria, golf clap. He had Alexandria, who tied St. Cloud Cathedral, so he gets points for that one.
That's a legitimate tie. We forgot to mention that. That's a good
Yep.
tie.
Oh, yeah. So Alexander, he got that one. He picked Elk River over Grand Rapids. and he picked Grand Rapids over Eden Prairie, and he also picked Breck over Greenway, which was postponed.
Good thing I didn't drive up to Coleraine.
Yes, so he got them all right. Technically, he got them all right. So believe it or not, it only 2 people in the whole group of people got this correct. I picked his name out of a hat, so congratulations, Alex Lavin, on winning this week's Pick'em. We'll post the Pick'ems that we're announcing on tonight's show on YHH tomorrow. So,
Okay, Pick'em number 1. Drum roll, please. Pick'em number 1, Tonka versus Prior Lake at Prior Lake or the casino tomorrow. This one's a hard one.
I'll go first on this
Okay.
one. So I'm going to put the Tony next to that one so we know who went first. I'm going to go Prior Lake.
Okay, Carl, you want to go or you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go and also take Prior Lake. So you have to take Minnetonka. Enjoy.
Well, I was going to take Minnetonka. I think the speed of Minnetonka is going to make the difference in this game. Even though Prior Lake is more, with fellows and stuff like that, I think they're senior heavy, right?
Yes.
I think the youth and Tonka needs a good win. I'm going to pick Tonka in this game. I think it's going to be either low scoring, like a 2-1, or it's going to be a 4-5 game.
Okay. All right. What's the next game?
Next game is East Grand Forks Bemidji.
Ooh, that's a good one. Both teams playing well, especially East Grand.
Who do you want to go first, Tony?
I just went first, so Carl actually goes first on this one.
Sure. I'm going to pick Bemidji. I think they're just a little more solid defensively. You know, they play more tough games, so stick with Lumberjacks.
And Danny, since you went last time, you get to go first this time.
I'll pick Bemidji as well. I do think that Bemidji's probably the deeper team in this scenario. And do we know when Pollock's coming back yet? Has that been addressed anywhere?
I don't know. I'll check his games played. What's that?
I think it was supposed to be towards the end of the month, which is coming up, but so I'm not sure.
So that's close, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take Bemidji. Tony?
By default, I have to take East Grand Forks, which I'm not really that ashamed to take. I'm going to take East Grand Forks. They've played pretty well. Alex Pollock has played 3 games, has 1 goal and 5 assists. I'm looking up his stats right
That's
now.
not bad.
And his last game was he played in the Rogers game
Okay.
on the 17th, so he's back. 1 goal. He had 1 game. He had 2 assists in that game, so he's back.
Yeah, I just
I like that pick of East Grand. I like your guys' pick of Bemidji, but I'll take East Grand, and I'm going to ride it with the wave. I'm going to ride the wave on that one.
Okay. Next game, probably the biggest game of the week, St. Thomas Academy and Eden Prairie. I got to pick first, right? Me?
Yep, it's
Danny?
you.
I got to pick my Cadets. I think the Cadets have a lot to prove in this game. I think goaltending is going to stand out, and they're going to be fast and all over the place, and I'm going to pick them in this game.
Well, you are alone on this one, my friend.
That's fine.
I will be broadcasting that game for Eden Prairie Hockey. So if you're a St. Thomas fan or an Eden Prairie fan or just a hockey fan all over the state, tune in 7 o'clock on Thursday night as I will deliver an Eden Prairie win over the
Unbiased sportscaster,
Yeah,
I guess.
No, I'm just picking Eden Prairie.
Do you work
so.
for CBS College Football too and want to know
Yeah, well,
SEC?
We're talking about
football?
the SEC. Yeah, I know. Vern Lundquist. Georgia and Alabama today on CBS.
Between the hedges.
God, I got sick of that.
Okay.
All right, what do you got, Carl?
I'm taking Eden Prairie too. Yeah.
Wow, that's safe. Very safe pick.
That's fine. I mean, St. Thomas has got the best player on the ice. I'm kidding.
Crickets. Did you hear the crickets on that one? Okay, what's the last game?
Last game, toss-up of the week. Hill Murray, White Bear Lake.
Oh, sweet. So
At Vadnais, too.
since everybody says I love White Bear and I kind of got crap on the message board, I'm going to go with White Bear on this one.
Good for you.
I'm going White Bear.
We're proud of you, Tony.
I'm going White Bear. I love White Bear, I guess. All right, so I'm guessing you guys are both going Hill Murray?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not a doubt. Brock Bremer, baby. Number
right.
20, Brock Bremer, 5'0".
All right, so
Gonna
make
get
sure
a
you
goal.
go. I'll send you guys a text later on today. Make sure you guys can win You know, you guys can win, get your name announced on the show.
That's
as
all
the
I look
winner.
for.
I know. Hey, Alex Lavin is a lot more famous today than he was yesterday. So
That's very true.
Alex Lavin.
That's very true.
So we're running out of time here on the show. Any other final thoughts, Danny or Carl, before we wrap up the show?
No, a couple good games before we go into the weekend with Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Carl?
Something I'll throw out there is that, I went to this Hibbing Greenway game on Tuesday night, and I wrote a blog post on my personal blog about it, and it was interesting to see that post about a Hibbing Greenway game got, about 10 times the traffic of anything I've ever done.
Huh.
And it was just kind of amazing to see. So I just wanted to give a shout-out to all the people in the range who are obviously paying attention and just following along with us, and thanks for that, because that was
very
kind of impressive.
It's a very passionate fan base, that's
Yeah.
for sure, and they're very appreciative of anything you write about guys in the range, and they know who you are, Carl. They know who we are with the show. It's fun.
I think the best picture I have on my phone is from last year when I was at Rapids and I was standing up and somebody like 2 rows down is on the forum and I just take a picture of him. Because it's like, oh yeah, I know what you're on.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, it's the way of life.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. So for Carl and Denny, I am Tony Scott. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Have everyone have a Merry Christmas. And thank you to our sponsor, Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine, for sponsoring our show. And everybody have a nice night.
Last night my kid tore up his league. He had a hat trick right up his sleeve. Coach said he's never seen that. Gemini Athletics gonna have to stitch the C patch. I've got Ferraris, Maseratis, drive all over the place. I drink martinis, never seen these looks all over their face.